Hi and welcome back to ABG Investor Day. My name is Simon Johnson and I'm an equity analyst here at ABG covering IT and gaming. Next up we have Johan Nordqvist and Erik Hammarberg from Briox. With that said, I'll leave the floor to you guys.
Thank you very much. Let me start. I'm Erik, and start to take the opportunity to thank you, ABG, for inviting Briox again to these investor days. This is the first time for me being here, but it sounds like a very exciting forum to bring together investors and growth companies such as Briox. If you go ahead to the next slide, please. Me speaking now is Erik Hammarberg. I'm the new kid on the block. I'm the newly appointed chairman for Briox since just a couple of weeks back. And I'm co-presenting here today with Johan Nordqvist, the CEO of Briox. And since this is the first time for me and I'm new at my job, I can start just by mentioning a few things about myself. I've spent my entire career in the SaaS business-to-business world, most recently as the head of strategy for Medius, another Swedish SaaS company. And now I'm truly honored and excited to be a part and on board of the Briox team. And I'm very impressed with the company and all the things that I've seen so far. So if you go ahead to the next slide, please. The agenda for today is for me to give a brief introduction to the company, Briox, and then Johan will take over to give some more color on how we are positioning the company for accelerated growth and some of the key priorities that entails. And of course, in the end, we'll open up for some questions. So next slide, please. As I said, we'll start here by giving a quick introduction to the company. I think you can continue on to the next slide here. And perhaps most of you people listening in today know Briox fairly well since previous investor days, perhaps. But by any chance, for those of you who haven't met or know about Briox since before, I can tell you that Briox is a software as a SaaS company dedicated to helping the micro companies and the entrepreneurs to simplify and managing their business administration. And we do this through delivering a fully cloud-based, user-friendly platform where the micro businesses owner can collaborate with their accounting agencies and accounting firms, which is a pretty typical setup for these kind of companies in a real-time fashion on mobile and a desktop experience. And today we offer our platform in Finland and in the Baltics, where we have local sales presence and support staff to support our customers on site. But product development and marketing is managed from Sweden and Växjö, where we do have our head office. Next slide, please. And being the new chairman, I could not be more delighted to work with such a stellar board of directors. And to give you a sense here from left to right, we have Johan Nordqvist, the former chairman and now acting as a regular board member. And Johan has worked with several fast-growing SaaS companies and fintech companies, and has also previously served as the CEO of Briox. We have Michael Lindblom, who is the founder of the world leader of invoice automation, Medius, where he was both founder and CEO for many years, and since has been both investor and strategic advisor to a lot of very exciting companies, notably Einride, which is currently revolutionizing the transport industry. In Daniel D'Souza, we have an extensive experience from the accounting software world. He has served as the CEO of Visma SPCS as one of his assignments. So we have a great domain expertise in Daniel D'Souza. And with Helena Westin, we have one of the most notable and competent professional in PR and communication in Sweden, and she really brings a strong asset in that perspective to the board work and into the strategic work of communication for Briox. And finally, we do have Martin Jönsson, who is a real estate professional and entrepreneur, and also a very active investor in the tech space. Next slide, please. So I'm a big fan and advocate of focus, and these are some of the key near-term priorities for me and more broadly the company and the board. First of all, the main focus for us now is to even further sharpen the focus on micro businesses, our core segment. And we do this by adding value to the both platform and our offering to provide relevancy and the sharpest offering for this particular segment. So this is something that we're focusing. And with this as a springboard, we are then developing and launching our strategic and financial 3 to 5 year plan, so the long-term growth plan. And thirdly, we are now securing a very robust financial platform to support this strategic growth plan for the coming years ahead. And we're doing this through a new issue. So I will just mention a few words about that on the next slide, please. This new issue, it's a combination of a rights issue and a directed issue. The total issue amounts to 43 million Swedish crowns, which is a very, very healthy foundation for Briox to execute our strategic growth plan on. And it's very comforting to see the level of confidence that our existing shareholders are putting into the team and into the plan ahead. And we also do have 100% of the rights issues actually secured 100% by guaranteed commitments to the issue. So that's very comforting for me as a chairman to see, and now it's on to execution of the plan. And that's a great opportunity for me to hand over to Johan Nordqvist, who will give us some further detail and color on the latest and greatest.
Good. Thank you very much, Eric. It's indeed very good to be presenting at the ABG Investor Days again, and thank you everybody for joining. So building on what Eric just mentioned, I will talk a bit about what we're doing with Briox to set the company up for accelerated growth. And this includes what we've done in the last year and the results we've achieved so far. I will then speak about the background to our focus on the micro business segment and our most important priorities relating to that. So if you continue, please. For those of you who've been following Briox, you know that a lot was achieved in 2021. We've set a very clear strategy for accelerated growth, which includes the increased focus on serving the very smallest companies, the micro business segment that Eric mentioned. I've also been busy recruiting a new and very competent management team, which is now fully in place as of January of this year. And parallel with this, we've also developed and launched a new brand platform and new product packaging, which have so far been very well received. So next slide, please. So these interventions that have started to bear fruit, and in 2021, we actually delivered accelerated growth 4 quarters in a row. And as you can see here in the green bars in this table, net sales grew steadily in 2021. And in the first quarter of this year, our revenue was up 63% compared to last year. It's a good start of the year. Continue, please. The same trend is then visible in annual recurring revenue, which I would say is our most important metric, up 68% versus last year. And of course, this positive momentum we of course intend to maintain. So if you move on, looking at our strategy for growth, what's currently guiding us are, I would say, 4 key pillars, which our plans are built on. First and foremost is our distinct focus on then the micro business segment, and I will talk more about this shortly. Secondly, and relating then to our narrowed down target segment, we focus on developing a core offer which is internationally scalable Briox is already present in many markets, and we intend to be so. And key in this work is really to focus on the most important product functionalities, while at the same time ensuring that we offer everything that our target customer expects. And then the third pillar is a highly efficient digital sales model. This includes that all functions within the Briox organization is focusing on sales. And we need to make smart decisions using data and driving lead generation and conversion online. And then finally, the final key pillar is for us to win with strategic partnerships. Naturally, our most important partners are still the accounting agencies, and we now work with more than 200 agencies across Finland and the Baltics. But having said this, there are of course many other potential partners that also target the microbusiness segment, such as credit card providers, fintech companies, etc., which are equally interesting for us to team up with for accelerated growth. So if you continue, please. So before I continue and talk a bit more about our most important priorities, I'd like to make a small recap of why Briox has made a strategic decision to take a leading position in the micro business segment. So if you move ahead. So if we stop there, it's important to point out that the micro business segment is by far the largest segment in the world in terms of number of companies, which of course means a very robust business potential. It's also the fastest growing segment, and this growth has actually accelerated during the pandemic. And although the official definition of microbusiness is up to 10 employees, our real focus is on even smaller companies, the ones with up to 3 to 5 employees. And this is important because when companies are this small, the basic needs are often relatively similar, which in turn makes it possible then for us to develop a very targeted offer. And more similar needs also make it easier to have a tight core product that actually facilitates this international expansion that I was referring to earlier. So next slide, please. What is also then a great business opportunity for us is that a very large proportion of the accounting agencies, that at least the ones that we talk to, do not feel today that they have a winning formula when they work with their smallest customers. Most micro businesses, they want a fairly simple service at an affordable price. And in order for an accounting agency then to be able to offer that with good profitability, they must have a very, very time efficient way of working in this particular customer segment. And this is sort of where Briox comes in with a solution and a concept that is adapted precisely to serve these micro businesses. Next slide, please. And then another important reason why we chose to focus on the micro business segment is that we feel that there is a lack of a really strong total offer for this particular segment. As Eric pointed out, we already have a strong base in our accounting software, which is quite difficult for anybody to develop in-house. But with this as a base, we can add other relevant services that help the micro business entrepreneur to simplify his everyday life and run a better business. So great potential when it comes to unmet customer needs. If you move on, please. So looking ahead then, which are our key priorities for the coming, I would say, 6 to 12 months? Where do we put our efforts mostly today? If you move on. The first one, and this is of course critical, those of you who are aware of the different players in our industry, you know also that there are different views on whether the entrepreneurs will want or need help from accounting agencies to in the future to manage their finances. We at Briox, we're firmly convinced that the vast majority of these micro entrepreneurs, they will continue to want help from the accounting firms. However, and this is really, really important, a prerequisite for this is of course that these agencies can offer added value at a reasonable cost. So in that collaboration between the agency and their smallest customers, Briox mobile app becomes absolutely critical, because this, we believe, is the sort of really the key tool for the micro business owner to be involved in the financial aspects of his business together with the agency. So therefore, in the coming quarters, we will continue launching a number of features in our app, all of which aim to simplify and save time. And in this work, we place special focus on value creating automations and a very, very attractive user interface. And the feedback we've received on our new app so far has been very, very positive. So this feels extremely good. Please, next slide. And as I mentioned, though, key for the accounting firms that want to grow with profitability in the microbusiness segment is really about one thing. It's about saving time in this work. And getting more done in less time, this means that they can actually say yes to more customers. It also makes this time saving, makes it possible for accounting agencies to offer a very attractive pricing. And as I just mentioned, this is key to have a very simple and very affordable offer to this segment. So pretty much all work we do in collaboration with the agencies is to ensure that our product delivers against this requirement. So just to mention some important initiatives that enable an efficient way of working are, for example, a systematic onboarding of new customers for agencies, and also various other tools that simplify communication in this ongoing then collaboration between the agency and the micro company. So next slide, please. So, and then finally, thirdly, the important priority parallel with this work, we're also working on further developing our sales model. And this is quite a significant and very important shift. So to make this more digital, to align with our scalable ambitions. So in this process, we put a lot of focus on marketing automation and digital leads generation. And we will continue investing in this area with focus on our sort of online store, which is the Briox website in the respective markets where we are present. So next slide, please. So in summary, before we open up for questions, we're very happy to see that 2021 was a very important year of transformation for Briox, for the accelerated growth. Net sales grew steadily throughout the year, and in Q1, net sales actually increased by 63% compared to last year. And at the same time then, as I mentioned, annual recurring revenue grew by a healthy 68% in the same period. So a good, solid start of 2022. We continue delivering on our transformation plan. And as I mentioned, this work includes every function in the company, from sales and marketing to product development. And finally, and I want to emphasize this again, we have made a very important strategic choice as a company to focus on the microbusiness segment, where we intend to take a leading position. And this, we believe, is absolutely critical to have this tight focus to really ensure that whatever we decide is we have the ambition to be the best. And then you have to be very, very choiceful in what you do. So exciting times at Briox. I personally feel very good about having welcomed Eric on board with his experience, and we are quite eager to continue working in 2022. So with that, Eric and I round off, and we're very happy to take any questions if you have some. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, both Johan and Eric. Yes, we will start off with some Q&A. And the first question from me is that your focus now is on microbusinesses. And I wonder what that transition means for your legacy customers. How do you plan to retain those?
Right. I hear a silent assumption that our legacy customers are not microbusiness customers, but in fact, I would actually say that most of our existing customer base, if you look at sort of the end customers that are typically served by an accounting agency, most of them are actually quite small. So it's not, I would say, a major transition in customer base. It's not a major transition in how we work. Having said that, it's still a very, very important distinction for us as a company to always start with the focus on, that everything we build is built around this very small company with maybe up to 3 employees. And that actually implicates a lot of things in how you plan product development, the kind of questions you ask. You have to be, by default, much more choiceful. So to answer your question, I would say that this is something that enabled us to make tougher and more distinct decisions rather than turning our existing customer base upside down. But having said that, we are now much clearer, especially in our conversations with the accounting agencies, that we always open up the question, narrowing it down to this particular segment. And if a particular agency says that, well, our customer base is predominantly large customers, it's totally fine to sort of round off that conversation and for them to find a great partner elsewhere. So it's rather than for us to clarify our positioning both internally and externally. That's the most important piece, and make tough choices.
Thank you, Johan. And that was actually my follow-up. How large a share microbusinesses is of your existing customer base? And to clarify, I think you said most, basically. But does that mean most are like companies with 1 to 3 employees? Or is it more the broader term of microbusinesses up to 10 employees?
Right. To be honest, I don't have the specific number. I can only make a guess. But I would think that a large majority of the companies that we work with for sure have less than 10 employees. I would guess that most of them have less than that, and that correspond with how this segment looks in general, even though the definition, I think it's even an EU definition, is up to 10. The vast majority are the even smaller ones. Having said that, and I think this is important also to point out, we actually have customers that are much bigger than that. So the point I want to make is that our software is actually potent enough to serve the needs of much bigger companies. It's almost like I would say that it's too powerful from an accounting point of view, which you can argue, well, that's good, but I would actually say that what we want to do going forward is that we want to make it as distinct and tight and narrow as possible, actually, because I can't emphasize enough the importance of actually deselecting and not putting everything into the software and to the offering, both from a commercial point of view, from a marketing point of view, but also from a product perspective. I mean, think about, for example, the mobile app. It could be tempting to put everything in it, but I think that's just the issue where most companies actually go wrong. You do too much and then you lose it. So I think together with Eric, what we are focusing on is actually to see how much we can remove, or at least hide, or sort of not include in the core offer that is for everybody. I think because if when you're that distinct, at least in my experience, all the great companies, at least the ones I look at, regardless of industry, they are very good at what they do, and that is frankly impossible unless you have unlimited resources. That is extremely difficult to achieve unless you target a very, very narrow niche, and you do that at your very best ability. Then you actually have a chance, even as a small company, to be among the best, and that's our intention.
All right. And Johan, what can you say about the competition, mainly in the micro segment, and what are your main edges?
Right. It's a question I typically get, and I think it's a good one. I would answer it like this. First of all, are there other, I assume you're referring to then other accounting software providers that can serve this segment? And the answer is absolutely yes. Many can do the job from an accounting perspective. Many have very good functionalities. So there's a sea of other potential players for an end user or an agency, for that matter, to choose from. I would say, though, that where we are not unique, but quite distinctly positioned, is that we actually outright say that this is our distinct focus, and it will be even more so in the beginning, in the future. I would say that we tried to have a very, very user-friendly interface. That's very visible for those of you who've seen our new mobile application. And I would say that in working with the agencies, I dare to say that few other players in this field are so sort of pegged up around this micro-business promise, because it's one thing is the actual accounting functionalities, but I would say that for an agency, it's much more about the working process. I mean, I would even, if I were an agency, I would assume that the product does the job. That's the hygiene factor. But having actually a setup that, how would I put this, a process supporting this with one single aim is to reduce time spent while maintaining a very, very good customer experience. That's what it's all about. And here I think we're actually quite unique, focusing all our efforts when it comes to customer onboarding, communication, resources and tools to enable the interaction between the consultant and the micro-business entrepreneur. So that I think is a unique contribution by Briox.
Okay, thank you. And I think we have to stop there in the interest of time. But thank you so much, both Johan and Eric, for attending. I guess I'll see you next time, hopefully. And thank you to the audience as well.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.